Quel est le rôle du design présent dans notre vie de tous les jours? I can't tell what is the role of design. I just can't tell, by the way, what it was during the containment and just these 2 weeks after the containment. It was both very triggering and very interesting, meaning spending time to say that design is much more than object, than design is about organization, about systems, about interfaces. Suddenly, even if there were the screens, we were reduced to observe our home. And since 2 weeks now in France, or 3 weeks, some different homes. I spent the last 3 days in a very little, beautiful, tiny house in the south of France by the sea, with really nobody, almost nobody, really in the nature, with bats and frogs during the night, making the noise. And this very tiny house was full of objects, full of cupboards, full of drawers. And each time you open a cupboard, you open a drawers, there were many objects, plastic objects, from the 80s, 90s, let's say, or even the beginning of this century. Observing these objects, none of them was really useful, meaning they were all not only gadgets, because they were quite well designed, thanks to Tupperware things of quite a good brand, but I was comparing to my own house, where I don't have any of those objects. It was a bit ambiguous. I was telling to myself, this is design, this is about design, this is exactly what design is about, producing objects to make the life easier, but non-useful as objects. And in the same times, it was very egoistic, but I was saying to myself, okay, let's say it's a good point not to have all those objects. So I do things. The main revelation of this last 2 months was definitely design for everybody is about objects. Objects as the terminal point of a very, very long process, which is organization. So it's up to us now to make those two things links one way or the other, for everybody to be really certain that things have to change. As an historian, if I come back to the roots of design, I do think this is really the things to do right now. It's like rediscovering or re-examining that design was made to link all the different part of our life, of our everyday life, and also part of our intellectual or artistic life. And I would say it's very easy today, or it should be even quite clear, that we can condemn every or a certain number of aspects of modernity, and design is part of modernity totally. But because it's part of modernity, it has been a force, or it has been a way to link the different things with each other, but also to invent a new life, or to invent the new lives who was going with modernity, meaning with industry, meaning with new materials, meaning with new way to make sport, meaning with new way to make musics, etc., etc. Numbers or examples are numbers. I would say design has to do that again. Design has to be able to define itself as a way of living. Not a way of living with beautiful things made by authors, but way of living with new things rearranged by ourselves. that what was the case. And I think nothing more than that is necessary. The only thing more than that which is necessary is an education much more open, much more precise about what is the meaning of the life we have to adopt today. Quelle est la mission sociale du design au présent? I have a kind of clear ambiguity. I mean, there is a kind of a clear ambiguity with design and social. We can say social design, but I do think social design is trapped at the very beautiful movement and energy towards a way to be intricate, or to put weight, or to emphasize certain way to organize public policies. But in the same time, since it means that you necessarily have to compromise or have to enter a game where you are not sure at all to be or to come out with some victories or just even positive points. You can just do your best in this kind of environment of public policies. That's why I do think design has to see with education to really change the way to look on things. I would say design has to see with values. I'm really very surprised and astonished each time I'm rereading designers from the 50s, from the 70s, from the 80s, and really less designer from today's, I would say, how strong design was linked with value and with social value. So please just open some books, read again, and apply.